Good morning, everybody. Pastor Stitch, Narrow Path Christian Church, BC, Bay City, Michigan. Welcome to the Biker Devotional. So, this morning I was reading in Proverbs chapter 11. Surprised, right? I hope by now, if you spent any time with me at all, you know I read the chapter of Proverbs that corresponds with the date. I do it every day. I've been doing it for over 10 years. Every day. Chapter of Proverbs that corresponds with the date. It's a great way to create a habit. It's also a great way to keep God's wisdom in your mind. And as I was reading through chapter 11, there was a theme. And the theme is that a righteous person is taken care of, and bad people, they get their due. And, well, let's be honest. If you and I look at life in general, it often doesn't feel that way, does it? And so reading through scripture like this can get frustrating. But God, my life's a mess, and that evil person over there, they're prospering. I mean, King David cried about it in the Psalms and said, this isn't right. Asaph cried about it in the Psalms and said, this isn't right, and went to God about it. And it's okay to go to God about it, right? I hope you've heard me say that more than once. It's okay to go to God with your frustration and say, I don't understand and I don't like it. It's fine to do that. And when it comes down to it, the outcome is correct. When you're righteous, when you're living a right life or towards the right life, you're striving to live a right life, a righteous life, not a perfect life, a righteous life, striving to live right, you will find that things go well. But if you don't, you will find that eventually things go bad. Sometimes things don't go well in your lifetime. Just look at Abraham. He had God's guidance the entirety of his life. He didn't get the promise. Matter of fact, it came about hundreds of years later, right? Abraham didn't have enough people with him. God could have done the work, but it wasn't their time. You know, God said they hadn't been given enough time to get through that process. I get that. But I got to thinking about this for a minute. You know, the righteous get what they're supposed to, and the unrighteous, they get the outcome of their unrighteousness. I mean, that's kind of the theme of chapter 11. And I got to thinking about something. You know, when King Solomon started building the temple, because his dad wanted to, and his dad was told he couldn't because he was an evil man. Not evil. David was a man after God's own heart. David killed someone, though, with a very bad decision. And because he shed blood with evil intent, God said, you cannot build my temple, but your son Solomon will. So Solomon built the temple. Solomon also built a huge palace complex as well. You know, it took 7 years to build the temple. It took 13 years to build the temple, or to build the palace. Now, some people might infer that the palace was grander than the temple. I don't think that's quite it. I'm pretty sure that Solomon followed God's plan for the temple. Matter of fact, I know he did. He put that as his priority, and he worked at it. And when he put that as his priority, God accomplished the task that was in front of him. God also gave him a perfect plan to build the temple. Solomon had to come up with the plan for his palace on his own. So I guess the question comes down to, if you're living a righteous life, are you living a righteous life because you're doing it for God? Are you living a righteous life because you want the things you want? See, if you're living a righteous life to make God do things for you, it's going to take a really long time because you're really not living a righteous life. But if you're living a righteous life for God and his plan, you'll see your plans come to fruition as well. How do I know? Because when I get out of the way and I just live for God, I watch God do things in my life. But when I live for my own plan, things, they just become a mess. So today, who are you living righteous for? Are you living righteous for your own self and your own plans? Or are you living righteous for God? It's a real question. I have to ask myself that on a regular basis. I probably should ask myself that every day. I'm not that good yet, but I'm going to strive to be. I love y'all. I hope you have a great day. God bless.